what happens when you see this face on someone that you haven't connected with in a very, very long time. Hey guys, welcome to this month's Good Question email. This month's theme in the community is about re-engaging some of those past connections and relationships that may have slipped through the cracks, the ones that have taken a back seat. What do you do with those, right? How do you get that back on track? Because that first initial conversation can be a little bit awkward. As illustrated by the beginning of this video, what happens when you run into grumpy face because they're not happy that you sort of just spun right out of their orbit? So this month's question is actually put to me by Bruce, who is a longtime Rippler. What do you do when you first, or how do you overcome, the awkwardness of when you first get back together and they're not giving you a lot of love? This happened to me recently. I know that it was challenging and I didn't know what to say. Bruce, been there, done that. I know exactly what it feels like. I wish you and I had talked beforehand. There will always be that awkwardness that, you guys were, rocking and rolling, and then all of a sudden it just came to a complete stop, and now you're trying to get it restarted, and they may not be too happy about it. Or they may be a little confused or put off by, the lack of attention that you've placed in their direction. So how do you overcome that? The best way that I can say is that you own the circumstance. Own that you got busy, own that you promised to follow up and you didn't. Own whatever it is that makes that awkwardness present. Just call it out. By actually putting that on the table and just getting that out of the way, you actually are giving permission for you and for them to ease back into the interaction. And no matter whose fault it was, you own it, right? Always own the fact that you should have called, or you should have made an extra effort to stop by or set up a coffee or a lunch, whatever the circumstance might be, but you just didn't, and you got busy. Life gets in the way, projects come up, your attention gets diverted, problems with the kids, change of job. There's all these different reasons. But all of those, as you say them out loud, just sound like excuses. And nobody wants to hear excuses. People want to hear your own personal justification for not following back up or getting back in contact with them prior to now. They just want to know that you do feel some sense of remorse, or that you maybe have a little pang of guilt. I think some people take pleasure in that. And just say, look, life got in the way. I was just, crazy busy, and it's not an excuse. I should have made it more of a priority. And so lunch is on me, or let me buy you this cup of coffee, or let me just lay open my heart and say, I am sorry. I wish it hadn't happened. I wish that so much time hadn't passed, but it did, and I will do my best to not repeat that in the future. Just being open and honest and very just straightforward will say a lot about you and the importance that you're placing now on that connection or that relationship. And I hope that it will be met with something other than grumpy face cat or grumpy face Steve. You owe me a cup of coffee, you son of a... No. Anyway, you will find that they'll crack. They will, most of the time. And here's the thing. If they don't, if maybe the damage is too much to repair right now, you don't just go in for the full fix, right? You just say, look, obviously I know that I've got some work to do. I need to regain your trust, or I need to build back some social credit with you, and I plan to do that. I plan to stay in contact, and I plan to follow up after this and keep showing up in a way that I just didn't previously. And if they were important to you then, and you were important enough to them as well, they will start to claw their way back as well. You will start to make a inroad that will reopen new pathways, new opportunities to build the relationship. And my guess is you will come back stronger than ever. So Bruce, sorry I couldn't be there for you before you had that awkward encounter. Hopefully the face that you saw was not as frustrating as Grumpy Cat with her, glass of wine. By the way, that's a picture that hangs in my son's house, and it just makes me smile every single time I see it. Also a reminder that, most people in life are exactly that. And our jobs are to cut through that layer by layer, until we get them to smile. And apparently wine may help. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, I digress, which I tend to do. I hope this is helpful for you. I hope it's helpful for many of you out there that are looking at these relationships and trying to figure out how to get them back on track. Just own it and don't belabor it, and show up and agree that you're just not going to do it again. And then don't. Make it a priority, and you will have a recipe for successful future growth in that connection or that relationship. Hope that's helpful for many of you out there. I hope you're having a fantastic month of May, and as always, ripple on. Grumpy cat with a glass of wine. You can't see that, but the cat's looking at me. The cat is looking at me and is not changing its expression. Maybe I've got some rippling to do.